One of the most pervasive political visions of our time is the vision of liberals as compassionate and conservatives as less caring. Only choices made in love are compassionate. There are no exceptions. Do you have the courage to act with an empowered heart without attachment to the outcome? If not, you have no ability to give or experience compassion. That is the shocking truth. As a woman, my style defines my leadership. It's a gentler, more compassionate approach. I consult, I listen, and I compromise where it's in the best interest of the citizens. We must recognize the fact that adequate food is only the first requisite for life. For a decent and humane life, we must also provide an opportunity for good education, remunerative employment, comfortable housing, good clothing, and effective and compassionate medical care. I do not shy away from accepting that I had a troubled past, but in the journey of coming out of that dark phase, I understand humans better. I am less judgmental and more compassionate. I learned empathy and forgiveness, and that gives me confidence as a person. My own experience being bullied, it made me a more compassionate person. It made me more sympathetic to the adolescent experience. Miracles seem to attest to the presence of a loving and compassionate God, one who wants to help us, who wants to speak to us and encourage us. Religious people often prefer to be right rather than compassionate. Often, they don't want to give up their egotism. They want their religion to endorse their ego, their identity. When self-doubt creeps in, don't ignore it, address it. Respond to harsh self-criticism with something more compassionate. Talk to yourself like a trusted friend and refuse to believe your unrealistic, negative inner monologue. Customer service is just a day in, day out, ongoing, never-ending, unremitting, persevering, compassionate type of activity. The true mystic is always both humble and compassionate, for she knows that she does not know. Whenever you're going through a tough time, generally, you become more compassionate, you become softer, you become more thoughtful, kinder. These are all spiritual qualities that will help you to align yourself with God and God consciousness rather than with a split fear-based consciousness. I love the idea of the teachings of Jesus Christ and the beautiful stories about it, which I loved in Sunday school, and I collected all the little stickers and put them in my book. But the reality is that organized religion doesn't seem to work. It turns people into hateful lemmings and it's not really compassionate. I haven't lost faith in human nature and I haven't decided to be less compassionate to strangers. I was a single mom that raised two bright, beautiful, and compassionate girls. We seek for truth in ourselves, in our neighbors, and in its essential nature. We find it first in ourselves by severe self-scrutiny, then in our neighbors by compassionate indulgence, and, finally, in its essential nature by that direct vision which belongs to the pure in heart. I am a student of good and bad, and I've always been inquisitive. I never want to be the know-it-all in a room. I want to be in the room of those that are thinkers and people that are compassionate, people that have drive and ambition. I'm always driven by it. There is nothing compassionate or safe about relegating people, particularly those suffering from mental health or addiction issues, to sleep on our streets. It took more strength and hard work than I would have believed myself capable of, but with God's grace and strength, I managed to lift myself up and become a better person than I'd ever imagined. I believe I have become a loving husband, a compassionate father, and a stronger wrestler. Compassionate action emerges from the sense of openness, connectedness, and discernment you have created. The killing of a disabled person is not compassionate. It is not euthanasia. It is murder. Purity of speech, of the mind, of the senses, and of a compassionate heart are needed by one who desires to rise to the divine platform. Then she ordered the confiscation of all cell phones and laptops and computers so no reportage could come out of Burma. It seemed clear that a demon, something diabolical, rather than something compassionate and human, was in charge of Burma. You can see neurosis from below, as a sickness, as most psychiatrists see it, or you can understand it as a compassionate man might, respecting the neurosis as a fumbling and inefficient effort toward good ends. The highest hallmark of a civilized society is not the rapidity by which it exacts vengeance, but its ability to hold victim and victimizer in its compassionate heart. We believe in a solid, just, compassionate, hopeful future. That's why I'm in politics. That's why I'm running for president. And that's why I'm going to win. We assume that we've come so far as compassionate citizens of the world if we do choose to read the news. Yet the attitude towards life can be one where we put blinders on and forget that there are civil wars going on. It's easy to forget that there are so many people starving to death every single day. One of the criticisms I've faced over the years is that I'm not aggressive enough or assertive enough, or maybe somehow, because I'm empathetic, it means I'm weak. I totally rebel against that. I refuse to believe that you cannot be both compassionate and strong. There never was any heart truly great and generous, that was not also tender and compassionate. More compassionate mind, more sense of concern for others' well-being, is source of happiness. I feel that I've got the opportunity to set a great role model for girls to look up to, a strong, active, compassionate, loving, positive woman, and I think it's so important. The new midlife is where you realize that even your failures make you more beautiful and are turned spiritually into success if you became a better person because of them. You became a more humble person. You became a more merciful and compassionate person. Metal fans are just as compassionate and caring and tolerant as any other form of music fans are. Compassionate listening is to help the other side suffer less. If we realize that other people are the same people as we are no longer angry at them. I support religious liberty, but I also think it is very important as a Republican Party that we bring a compassionate tone when talking about women's healthcare issues, when we talk about pro-life and pro-choice. I guess my view of America is of a real big-heart country, real compassionate. Always keep an open mind and a compassionate heart. The death of my own son has made me more sensitive. It's made me more compassionate. Hard times make you bitter or make you more compassionate. A kind and compassionate act is often its own reward. With the feminist movement, a good movement which I support, there's been more overt criticism of the male, an attitude that men are failing to understand the finer nature of women, failing to appreciate their needs, failing to support them, failing to be compassionate. The heart of Jesus is compassionate and understanding. It has felt the sting of ingratitude, and when my heart suffers from that same offense, I can turn to him, and he understands my feelings. There's a personality trait known as agreeableness. Agreeable people are compassionate and polite, and agreeable people get paid less than disagreeable people for the same job. Women are more agreeable than men. I just realized that if it's really compassion that drives you, maybe it's not enough just to stop eating animals, but you maybe should boycott the whole animal industry, because it's not what you as a compassionate being would want. So actually you should go one step further and become vegan. It's in our ability to selectively engage and disengage our moral standards, and it helps explain how people can be barbarically cruel in one moment and compassionate the next. I wish I had been a better mother and a more compassionate and understanding wife in both of my marriages. Muscles are fleeting, bodies give out, but integrity, honor, the confidence to be oneself, to follow one's heart, the compassionate drive to help others, even at great risk, that's strength. Embrace your vulnerability and celebrate your flaws. It will let you appreciate the world around you and make you more compassionate. I am blessed to have married the man that God sent me. He's loving, compassionate, strong and supportive of my children, family and career. I look forward to our lives together. I got into being vegan because I was simply looking to benefit from being more compassionate. I have since come to learn that it is an animal-based diet that is responsible for the overwhelming majority of cases of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, multiple sclerosis, and all kinds of other problems. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.